Okay, welcome back. This is a twin flame path. And I'll start by saying I know that there's a lot more than twin flames in this situation. You know, how I got started, I guess, learning about twin flames was, I guess when I met my twin flame. And I may have mentioned this in another video, but I wasn't aware of what a twin flame was, and this was a few years ago. And as I learned about it, I realized that's what we were. But then as time went on, I realized that we are more as individuals. And I guess that could be, you know, like as individuals, twin flames can be whatever they are. But I think we reflect each other in that way too, which kind of identifies the twin flame in us. But the other things are independent of that. But it kind of all ties back to the things that come along with being a twin flame or get exposed as that part. And I guess it get exposed as individuals too, you know. That's kind of what the topic of today's video is. It's like, take a quick sip there. It's like a little bit of karma and things that have to do with past lives and the things that you have to learn now. They all kind of go together. Now, karma in past lives, that is, from what I understand so far, and I say so far because it's an ongoing process learning about like any of these things, you know. So far, it seems like karma is one of the most complex parts, but also the happenings within each lifetime, lifetimes with your twin flame, it kind of all surfaces now. And what is now? The now that I'm speaking about is 2018 to whatever time this video stays up, wherever you may find it. That's the existence that I'm talking about as far as like what I'm meaning by now. It could be affected in the future, like, you know, that just gets into something like quantum, and I could do a video where I just speak about quantum things. It would be all over the place, but isn't that what quantum is? So, yeah. So, but here and now, things of the past kind of surface, but in the way that they would surface now, you know. It's kind of like, you know, the basic understanding of like why you may not like certain things, and you know, why you may have an appreciation for other things. But with karma, the sweeping overtone is that your thoughts of one situation or one point of time, from my understanding, kind of dictate what is going to happen with you and to you and maybe even around you in the future. Not necessarily this lifetime, but almost definitely in other realms, which could be the realm that you go to after death, as well as if and when you come back, you know? So don't set yourself up for downfall, you know? And that's not saying that you just do some stuff and then like it's just on your record, like your forever karmic record, and you can, you know, have the heart to consider things now, you know, to do better now. And in my opinion, that kind of takes away the things that might stick to your soul as when you cross over, you know, or when you come back around, how you come back around or decide to come back around. That can be a positive situation, like I want to go back, or it could be a decision that was made for you and you have the opportunity, and then you can get so far in that you get to a point where there really is a slim chance of ever coming back. I laugh, but I always quote Shakespeare when I laugh like this. I laugh to keep from weeping. It's just a reflex. Yeah, I think it's a reflex that happens with people who have experienced high amounts of trauma, or who have experienced high amounts of experiences and are at a point where some things aren't as woefully impactful as they would be for others who haven't experienced many things. And when I talk about many things, I'm talking about thousands of years of things, including even in near memory, all the things that humans have been going through since before the written recording of time, you know? Think far back. Think back to, you know, to the Neanderthals. Think back, like, think to space, you know, like, just open your mind with these things. And that might be a challenge because it comes to what you can't see. And I had a moment like this just yesterday, and what immediately came to mind when it was being considered was a Bible verse talking about, a few Bible verses that talk about, you know, you're not fighting against what you can see, it's against what you can't see. And a lot of the things that are happening, and I'm not quoting on this one, this is the second one I should say, but I don't have it memorized. But it was basically, and there's a few verses like this that go into, you know, the majority of things out there are unseen. And that was kind of deep because, you know, a lot of churches, actually most Christian churches, don't go into like the spirit realm very much, especially not on the Protestant side. They go into like the Pentecostal speaking in tongues kind of spirit taking over you, but they don't really ever talk about many things spiritually. I have my opinions about why that happens. I think that a lot of it has to do with fear, culture. Like here in the States, we don't talk about the spiritual side of things too much. Not in my opinion. not the way that it's considered in most areas in the world. Like mostly everybody else has their perceptions. Like almost everybody, you know? Here we have like ghost videos, which hey, I'm not doubting, but you know, it's not quite the same. So my head looks very little, but my ears just got cold too. Forget about it. like, yeah, so we don't really have that. And within the Christian churches, like if you go over to the Catholic side, you have priests all over who are talking about exorcisms and performing exorcisms. And I was in a house, you know, and when I was younger, and it was inhabited, and you know, one of my parents kind of knew what to do, and the other parent had never encountered anything like this before and was like freaking out. And they both decided to bring in somebody to exorcise the house, you know, like you have one person who's kind of like, well, and the other person who's like, what? And so, you know, and I'm laughing because that's one of those occurrences where people weren't getting hurt, you know. No one got hurt during all the years of living in that place. Not place, I don't want to say, it's not like a bad thing, but I mean, it is a scary thing. I spent a lot of years underneath a blanket, you know, and like hoping that I didn't like encounter anything at that time. So I'm looking to see if like it's just moving. No, I'm just playing. I'm kind of playing, but I'm kind of not, like, you know, I don't know. But so yeah, like with the Catholic side, like they acknowledge that, and that's like the division, the same division that's within these churches, these two houses, you know, that were divided. Ultimately, you know, you come over from Europe, oh, it's a new place, boom, you have Protestants. And the Protestants, all of a sudden, except for burning witches at the stake, you know, they pretty much were like, we're not into that, you know. And then it was just kind of like the way the rest of the American way of doing things took over. Not Native American, but United States of America, you know. There's two different lands here. There's the OG land, and then there's the land nouveau. You know what I'm saying? Like, just because the Constitution is written and there's a flag that has a lot of red, white, and blue and meanings about war stuff, and we have all these divided states, like that's America nouveau, in my opinion. But OG Americas, the native lands, they haven't gone anywhere. You think that just like disappeared? But anyway, I'm kind of getting off topic. But back to the spirituality of things. In churches, like the culture of anything spiritual here isn't considered. So that's the backstory as to like what's up with that. Which is cool, because it's not as if you don't see it other places in the culture. You know, you have all kinds of cats doing all kinds of stuff. So it's just not, I don't know if we're unified enough as a culture to have like common beliefs. Like people here are just all over the place. And, you know, it's really like out there. Like, you know, and to a point where you have to kind of like bite your tongue, ignore a lot of stuff. You hear, I'm kind of off topic here, but you hear a lot of blending of things. Like in the media is a good way of seeing it. Like, and this comes back to that karma thing, but like I see politicians, like especially after like, I see politicians and other political and other agency figures after like something that is not so good that happens in whatever way it happens, whether it's like, natural or not, they always talk about like prayers. That's what's been confusing me, because I'm kind of like, who are you guys praying to? You know what I'm saying? Like, we all know the background of some of these agencies. And then, like in the Constitution, they're talking about "in God we trust," and it's pointing towards Christianity, because we were founded as being a Christian nation. But then now everything is like kind of, altered and twisted around to suit everybody. So, the fundamental Christianity type things are kind of like lost, but there's still this mentioning of like prayer, and there's no mentioning of who they're praying to, ever. Like, and then you hear people who are doing these things like cursing the name of God, and then talking about prayers like pretty much in the same sentence. And that's the kind of stuff that I have to watch. Like, I'm watching like TV, but like a fictional program, but these are like real people. That's kind of where I have to put my eyes to. Like, I'm just watching, but as a human being, I have to disconnect from having any kind of emotional reaction or even opinion, because it's so out there that it doesn't even apply to me. But so the karma kind of thing, yeah, like whether you like it or not exists. Whether you like it or not, it exists. And I think a good way of kind of like eliminating stuff, like nipping it in the bud, is to kind of acknowledge it as it happens. Doing all kinds of whatever you need to do that I think are very beneficial, things meditationally, prayerfully, wanting to like curb your thoughts and like get rid of the judgment, get rid of the anger and the jealousy, especially like the judgments, because this is my I'll give you an example. Like, sometimes I'll judge people, things that make me or have made me have like a reaction that's not so hot, for whatever reason. And a lot of it, you get bombarded in a lot of things digitally, and in print, but digitally is more accessible. So everywhere you look, there's something. And a lot of it ain't kosher, and it's presented as being like the norm. And those reactions that I would have to those things, they weren't positive. Sometimes they're not positive. And it's not overwhelmingly negative. It's not like I'm really offended or something like that. But like having any kind of judgment over whether, what a girl has on, like I'm a modest kind of woman. And sometimes I'll get frustrated when I see performers, ads, places like Fashion Nova. I'm like, this is what, you know what I'm saying? Like, I have to be cool, because my opinion would be not cool. And, I had to acknowledge, is this jealousy? And if I have any further judgments about, some girl or person, what I notice is that those negative thoughts get in the way of your higher self, When I go into that zone of even like a few seconds of looking at some ad or advertisement or commercial, a photo, I'm going on Instagram. I love Instagram. I wouldn't say I love Instagram, but Instagram is cool. I could see like art, I can see pictures that homies have posted. I can see like interesting things. And don't get me started on baby lion cubs. You know what I'm saying? Love the baby lion cubs, especially like the little cub that's in mom's mouth and he's like, love that. Where am I gonna see so many baby lion cubs in one area? I mean, seriously. But then I see homegirl with gigantic ass, gigantic tits, and I'm kind of like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's cool. I didn't want to see that. And then I feel the energy. I feel the energy of like, almost like smugness. And you see it, it's maybe not her heart, but the way the photographer may have wanted to take this shot, or, it's just common in society now for girls to be doing these things. I come from, I don't even know, because I see older ladies doing it too. I see women like my age doing these things, and I'm like, what are you doing? But I can't judge that. And I can't say like anything, because when I'm in this mind, and you get trapped. And I have to kind of skim over things like, well, that's what she wants to do, I even see guys going down this kind of road, and I'm like, what is going on? I prefer like talent. Like I prefer, like I can see the good in wanting to like be attractive and like, I have makeup on. I combed my hair today, but I didn't get on camera with my cleavage like up to here, and it's not my thing, so I have to like accept that. But as soon as I start getting into this mind frame, and this is an example of like thinking about it, it's like a mental attack, because I try to block these things, I try to avoid them, I don't follow people. If people start following girls like this that I know or have followed because it's an artistic page, or I follow some humor pages, and I guess they're run by people who like girls that are very scantily clad. And so when I'm looking in the likes of the people I follow, sometimes I just see tits and ass, and I'm like, hey man, I followed you because you're not a person, it's just some random page and it's humor. But now I'm looking through here and it's like tits and ass. And I like looking through those other places because I like seeing what people that, the pages I follow, what they look at. I don't follow cosplayers, but a girl I used to be friends with, she cosplays. And she looks at interesting things. So it's like I'm not paging through like pages of cosplay. It's just one example. But when I get to this point of like judging, like people shouldn't do that, he should cover up, she should cover up, it disconnects me from my higher self. I can't hear as clearly. My focus gets redirected to what I consider nonsense. So I had to curb that part of me, not to accept it to a point where you're going to see me doing something like that, but to a point where I'm like, okay, that's where society is now. That's what they want to do. Not my thing. Still going to try to, weasel my way away from it, but I'm not going to get upset. And it's the same thing when I'm watching like YouTube. Sometimes I like to watch what I call stupidity. And it's not because the people are stupid, but it's like non-thinking stuff. But when I get to a point where I see somebody who is getting a lot of attention paid to them, or if I run into like, a suggested channel and it is just extreme nonsense, I have to prevent myself from getting jealous, because that jealousy, that energy that goes towards jealousy is like beeline. And it kind of takes like all this and it just beelines it away from like your constructive like frequency just to nonsense. And then the way that connects to like karma is, you know, the judgment kind of follows you, and then it kind of bleeds into like other places, you know, like maybe being mean or judging other people, you know, like there's some things in certain religions that I don't get down on, you know, and like at all. And I've read their holy books and I'm kind of like, dude, there's no getting around this. But then sometimes that will make me look at certain situations or scenarios, and then, you know what I'm saying, paint that kind of picture. And this is kind of going deep in my mind. These are not things that I'm proud of, but they are things that happen. And the things that happened, I have to continually not acknowledge, like, that's not cool. And thank God I have help, but, you know, at least getting to a point where it's like no opinion is like better. It's like that's the biting of my tongue in my circumstance, is like I have to like just disconnect. My view before was more like everybody's a neighbor, you know, if people learn whatever it is I felt like they should learn, that the world would be a better place. And I'm talking about like really obvious sweeping things, you know, like pausing for people in crosswalks when they have the crosswalk signal, you know, instead of like even getting upset at that, like if they would just do this and that, I have to like disconnect, you know, from expecting more. It's like that Saturday Night Live skit, lowered expectations. It's true. It's not like I'm not expecting things from people, but I'm not allowing myself to get mad, and I'm not taking any more mental real estate considering the things that they need to do for us to be cool. And maybe that's leading me into like my family type situation, you know, and or your family type situation, anybody's. Like, it's the same thing in family as it is in community for me. Like, if my family, if I could teach them this, the error in their ways, but some people don't see any errors. In their eyes, there is no error. And in their eyes, I might have all the error. And where do you go with that? And all I can do is control like my mind space and really like focus on the truth, nitpick to see if there's anything I could do, but ultimately I don't have to sign up for nonsense, and ultimately I don't have to put energy in taking responsibility for things that aren't my responsibility. That doesn't mean I don't give up trying, but that's a situation. Imagine it any way that you can or want to. That's their karma that they're pulling along. And there's only so much that you can do to like iron that out. But to sign up for abuse or to like devote time and energy towards that, that's where the buck stops. Gotta draw the line. It's like, nope. So on that note, is there really something? I thought I saw a fly, like a little tiny fly, and I'm like, dude, it's cold. What are you doing in here? But I think it was Buzz. But anyway, on that note, I'm out. I hope that this is kind of helpful. I know it's a big, broad subject, so, you know, but I'm hoping that you can just and pick out all little things and like have like an aha moment. So on that note, I will see you the next time, and take care in the meanwhile. Bye.